So, Seamilk,
Yeah.
you know what's better than virtual reality?
You stole my joke. Reality. Seriously.
Yeah, I feel like I'm almost there.
Yeah. So where are we, by the way?
We're currently near Elephant Head Mountain, and we're on a tea terrace kind of area. It's pretty nice over here. Anyway, we're talking about virtual reality. There's a reason for this, okay? A lot of people have been asking me about virtual reality in China because, believe it or not, it's a thing.
So it seems to be on a bit of a downturn back home.
Oh, it always has been. Do you remember Lawnmower Man? And
no, yeah, of course. But I'm saying, like, then PlayStation came out with theirs and Oculus Rift and all this stuff. And now you used to see, I used to use the litmus test of other gaming channels on YouTube. They would be doing all these VR games. I see none anymore.
Sure, of course.
But China's different.
Yeah, VR has been a failed thing for decades now. It's always been the next big thing, and then it fails. And then, oh, it's the next big thing, and it fails. Well, the matter of fact is that, you know, machines haven't really been able to keep up.
No.
So, you know, you need higher frame rates. Anyway, we're going to get on the bikes. We're going to tell you about something very interesting that's happening in China, which is unique to China.
Very unique.
And unique to VR.
We've come to a T junction.
Try not to ride over those T's. You might leave some of them on the ground.
Oh, Xi Jin Ping, eh?
Yeah.
What a guy. Now, he has been quoted with saying that virtual reality technology is to be the centerpiece of China's growth, and that it could cause a revolution in both virtual and real currency. So when the leader of one party says something so remarkable, people tend to listen, right?
Correct.
Just like everything in China, that kind of made the government and obviously private investors start to pay attention to virtual reality, and that's what caused this huge fever dream of VR.
Okay, so why is VR actually coming in here? Why not let other companies that are already doing it, you know?
Well, obviously Google and Oculus Rift, all these things, right? They've been on the market for ages back home.
Yeah.
But what happened is, you know, everyone knows that Google is blocked here in China. They have a pretty sour relationship, and although they're trying to always kind of bring it back, hasn't managed to be fruitful yet. But that kind of worked to the benefit of domestic companies in China, and it's like this in every situation where China has its own domestic version of a company.
Yeah.
Because it's allowed them to flourish, right? So you have all the parts that are being made in China already here. You don't have to ship them. Quality control is a lot more lenient here.
Sure.
And number two, labor is just dirt cheap. I mean, the programmers working and the R&D working on these projects, the salaries are so much lower than you'd pay for someone back home with, you know, an IT or R&D background for electronics. So you're getting these really, really cheap VR products that are kind of accessible to pretty much everyone.
Well, that's it. The barrier to entry is very, very low.
Right.
I mean, I live in the city where all this is happening.
Yeah.
Shenzhen, right?
Right.
And if I go into the markets, all I see are VR headsets and VR things, and they're cheap. They're incredibly cheap.
Right. How much you talking?
Well, I mean, you can get one of those, like, pretty cool sort of VR headset things that you plug your phone into, right? You put your phone in there.
Yeah.
For about like 30 RMB. Like,
Okay.
it's got like lenses inside, you know, so it actually gives you a 3D effect and all that. It's not just like a Google
Just look at a
Cardboard
screen
or something.
Right.
It's correct. But yeah, there are all sorts of things, and they range from sort of 30 RMB up until a couple of hundred RMB, depending on what you're trying to get.
Yeah.
But they're everywhere.
Right.
So that's the one thing. The barrier to entry is very, very low. But let's talk about investment and how it works here in China. So how about you go for that?
Just like anything, like if there's wind, and I'll link it together with the real estate boom here.
Yeah.
If there's wind that you can make money by investing in something, Chinese people are the first to jump on that. They're quite the entrepreneurs.
Well, let's be honest, there aren't actually a lot of investment options in China. It's basically stock market or property, maybe gold, gold.
So when something new comes on the market like this, like VR, it's tempting for people to jump on. So you've had crazy investment. I mean, you've had 1.5 billion RMB just in Shenzhen alone from the government.
Yeah.
And $500 million across the country from the government to invest in it, and that's not even including private investment.
Yes. I mean, we've seen this recently with the whole shared bicycle thing.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, because it's just an investment opportunity and people don't really have a place to put their investment money.
Yeah.
They pile it in. Oh, it's a new big thing. Let's throw our money at it. And that's why you've got the situation where you've got like so many different shared bike companies, and these bikes are literally piling up and being thrown away because there's just too many You know, it's too much investment, and the same thing's kind of happened with VR, you know.
Yeah, well, the projects have gotten more and more grandiose, right?
Absolutely, certainly have. So yeah, this VR thing's getting massive, but it's also talk about like why, what happened in the media that made it such a big thing.
Well, also, I had mentioned the big man earlier, right?
Yeah.
Xi Jin Ping. He was actually seen and photographed. We have the photo here. Actually handling and talking about a VR headset, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's China, again, is an East Asian country, has a bit of a herd mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And when something is kind of said, yeah, like if somebody says, yeah, this is cool, this is okay, especially someone in high leadership, not to mention the frickin' president, right?
Yeah.
Is shown, you know, playing around with this, then everyone's like, yeah, this is the new thing.
Yeah, I call it the Bowser psychology.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
remember that time Xi Jinping was eating like from a specific, I think it was a Bowser shop?
Yeah.
Which are basically steamed buns.
Steamed buns, yeah. And people are selling them on Taobao for like 70 kwai.
Yeah, and so basically that shop has been like
Did we go the wrong
out.
way?
Yeah, we were supposed to go left up there, so turn
Sorry.
around.
I'm just kind of stuck.
You'll make it. So basically that Bowser shop has been full and sold out for years now since that one incident. Yeah, so that's what happens. Everybody's like, ooh, the president thinks it's cool. Let's all go do it, you know?
Right.
In fact, if there's a company that's smart, they'll get the president to like wear their watch or something, because then everybody in the country will want that same watch, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's the Bowser mentality, and these guys are basically all following suit. Like if it's good for the president, it's obviously the best thing to invest in. Let's go ahead. So it's getting quite crazy.
It is,
you know?
it is. One might say a VR bubble.
Yeah. I think we can call it a VR bubble. But let's also just talk about the fact that it's not like VR overseas.
No.
VR overseas is kind of seen as a geeky, nerdy thing, you know? It's like
It's just gaming, right?
It's for gamers. But what makes it different here?
The difference is that because, you know, it's such a wide investment scope, like different kinds of people investing in this,
Yeah.
they realize that if they want to profit off of these kiosks, and keep in mind, there's what, 3,000 dedicated VR arcades across the country, right?
Yeah.
These are huge places, like a mall full of VR games.
Yeah.
And also, you said there's like tons of them inside of malls in your city.
No, I mean, look, you're talking about VR arcades, but if you go to any shopping mall in Shenzhen, even in your like third tier city of Huizhou, you'll see those like VR eggs.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, it's like
9D.
yeah, it's like a little egg, and you sit in it, you put on the goggles, and you can play a game, or they've got like the virtual racing kind of stuff, and they're everywhere, even in restaurants. Like you can go to like a really cheap little crappy restaurant, and they'll have like VR eggs in the corner.
Yeah, that's true.
So
But anyway,
yeah,
the fact that there are so many, right, and the fact that there's so much money into it,
yeah,
Chinese people realize that it's got to go past just the gamer scope. It's not the kids who play LOL. It's got to be targeted towards everyone.
yeah.
And you know, you can find VR things that are like dinosaur parks and race cars and normal life stuff. Like not just like I'm gonna shoot Call of Duty style in VR.
Yeah,
it's like all kinds of daily life type simulations, and that's what's captured the imagination of normal people in China.
Yeah, so it's kind of everyone's along for the ride. So again, it doesn't have a stigma of being something that only geeky gamers do.
No, it's something everyone does.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's cheap, it's available, and it covers a wide scope of people.
Correct. The thing is as well, like down in Shenzhen, there's a massive collaboration between HTC and the Shenzhen government to kind of push it forward. So that's why in Shenzhen you just tend to see VR stuff everywhere. It's kind of ridiculous, yeah.
Money's pouring in.
Yeah.
But it's not as ridiculous as the craziest thing, and this is something that you'll always find in China. It's when something becomes popular, like you said, the whole Baozi thing.
Yeah, hey, let's turn down here.
Okay.
Yeah?
It's just a driveway.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. Okay, anyway, yeah?
People tend to run with it.
Yeah.
And they ran hard with it this time because there is a city called the Donghu VR city.
Yeah, they're busy building it right now.
Yeah, so what they've done is put together a plan and started building an entire city. I'm not joking, it's not like a virtual city, it's a real city where you're supposed to use a VR headset, and it's intertwined with everything. Not just watching movies, not just playing games. It's intertwined with hospitals, healthcare, education. And it's the first place in the entire world that's fully going to use VR as a necessity to life, right?
Correct.
People use VR to do everything in their daily life. And this is absolutely crazy to think about.
Yeah. It is. It is. I mean, it's a fantasy. I mean, I've been into this whole, you know, IT gaming tech kind of thing since I was very young, and you've got those crappy movies like Johnny Mnemonic and, you know, all this kind of these Lawnmower Man and all those games I used to play growing up, and the movies from the early 90s.
Yeah.
And you think like, wow, there's always been this potential for this really cool situation to happen, but you know, the promises have failed over and over again. But the fact that China's actually going to go ahead and try it, I already know that it's going to be like a half-assed result. That's China, right? It's not going to be amazing, but it's going to be a proof of concept.
You know, I don't want to be negative, but you know what it's going to be?
What?
It's like when you go to those new developments of really expensive apartment blocks, and they're piping out classical music out of the fake stones.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, all of these beautiful water features and fountains, and the gardens are pristine, and there's swimming pools.
Yeah.
And you come back 6 months to a year later, and every single one of those things is falling apart.
Yeah, it's like dried
I have a
up.
feeling it's that. Like, the only reason that a huge project like this VR city can exist is because people are profiting off of it.
Oh, yeah,
So
to
somewhere
get
down the line,
get the investment money in.
right, somewhere down the line, they're
Yeah.
just like, it's trickling into people's pockets that are
Sure.
organizing the project and getting government funding. So, prove me wrong, China, but I highly doubt this is going to be more than just a tourist attraction for a few months.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I can't wait to see what they come up with, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it could be quite cool. No, he's going to splash me. No, 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 no. Yeah, I made it.
Nice.
Yeah, so let's see. Anyway, VR in China is a massive thing, and it's no joke. You do see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So far from what I've seen, you know, I've tried one or two of these things, but you know what, Seamilk, I've got an idea.
Yo.
How about the next time we do an Off the Bikes episode, we actually go to one of these sort of VR egg places?
That's awesome. Great idea. Let's do it. Done.
Yeah, let's try it out and actually see what it's like.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Give people first-hand experience. Is it any better than like PlayStation VR, for instance?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So, anything you'd like to add before we finish?
Whether you like to live in the real world, because that's where I live,
Yeah.
or you like to, you know, play online and meet people on like Second Life and, you know, trade Linden dollars for virtual objects, I implore you to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, and whether or not you like are a big fan of VR, if you know what I'm talking about when I talk about all this old nonsense, whether you care or not, we don't care because we love you all the same. And we can't wait to see you in the next one. So until next time, guys, you know the drill. Stay awesome.